Welcome along to another video. This video is basically how I go about preparing for a race, whether it be a single race, endurance or a series. Doesn't really differ, to be fair, from race to race. It seems to have served me well. So yeah, obviously let me know what you think in the comments below. And yeah, let's get on with it. So booting up ACC, obviously. Now let's say for instance we've got a race coming up, so you could try and go single player, same track, same car, but I don't tend to, because you can't exactly mirror what the server settings are going to be in multiplayer. So your best bet would be to go to the multiplayer. Now obviously all the different series I run in, some of them put up a test server, some don't. So obviously, yeah, it's down to that as well. If there is a test server, great. I mean, you're going to be sort of quids in, so to speak. But yeah, we'll go Pro League racing. Obviously, this is on PC. Not much difference to Xbox, to be fair. But yeah, okay. So Monza. As you can see, you've got like a free practice, and I think it's a practice quali as well. Ideally, you'd want a server that has the same times. As you'll see with this server, it doesn't have the same times for each individual practice session. So there you go. But obviously, we can work with that. It's not an issue. So we're going to sort of have a look. Track temperature is 24. Track's green, so obviously it's not going to be the grippiest or the fastest. Obviously, I've got the sort of beauty of tunes. Coach Dave is what I use quite a lot, so I'll obviously load that in. 20 litres of fuel is probably my sort of go-to, just to get the tyres. Obviously initially it's tyres, this is what you want. Obviously we're going to jump now to an aggressive tune anyway, just to sort of make it relevant, people that don't have a tune. But to be fair, it doesn't really matter. It's all about getting the tyres up. So again, dropping it down to 20, we'll drop the brake pads. Tend to use the brake pads on ones because it's not an endurance race. 9 times out of 10 my races are sort of 45 minutes to an hour and a half, so ones are fine. So yeah, we're going to go out. Obviously we haven't adjusted the tyres at all, because obviously we don't really know. Yeah, we need to start. Basically we need a sort of a base of where to start from. It's not worth sort of winging it and going, right, I'll put this and I'll put that in and then go out. So don't do nothing with the tyres, go out initially. So what you're looking at, GT3, you're probably looking at 2 laps, around about that. So obviously an out lap, and by the time you get to sort of mid to the end of your first sort of flying lap, you're pretty much going to have the tyres where they're going to be. Obviously they're going to fluctuate depending on sort of different corners, lefts, rights. I mean, obviously more weight on one side of the car to the other, but ideally you're looking at sort of down the straight is where they'll start to level off. So yeah, you sort of get the basis then. So obviously, yeah, we're out on the initial out lap. Obviously we're not going to push the out lap because the tyres are cold, haven't got full grip. Obviously you don't want to spin off, you don't want to crash, because then you've got to sort of, yeah, back to the pits, go back out and do it again. Ideally for me, this is where you need, especially if you're lucky enough to be in a server where they've got practice session, free practice sessions, and they're all the same time, and you know the qualifying is going to be at the same time, say 3 p.m, race is going to be at the same time, 3 p.m. You ideally want to get in here at the start of practice, and you want to get your tyres up sort of now, because this will be the temperatures that you'll start quali, this will be the temperatures you'll start the race. Obviously if you come in and the free practices 2 or 3 hours long, and you come in an hour and a half in, track temperatures aren't going to really be relevant. They're probably either going to be higher or lower to when you start the race. So yeah, ideally you want to get in at the start if you can. Obviously if you're in a server where there's no one else in there, it's, yeah, ideal, because you can jump in and out when you want. So obviously coming around to the last corner, as you can see, it just didn't want to grip there. So we're going to start our first sort of flying lap. Not going to be sort of, yeah, balls to the wall going for it, but we need to get a sort of baseline of where the tyres are at, and then obviously how much we have to raise them or drop them. So like I said, not really going hell for leather. We're sort of not short shifting, but not taking it obviously to the red line. Yeah, like I said, at the end of this lap we should see pretty much where the base is, and it will come in and we'll adjust it accordingly. Now, as you'll see from this video, it usually takes 2 to 3, maybe 4 attempts, obviously in and out of the pits, to get to the tyres to the sweet spot. Obviously you're never going to be 27.7 on all 4 corners, because yeah, unless you've got sort of Monza, sort of, but yeah, you've still got corners at Monza. Unless you're on a track that it's just one continuous straight, I mean, it's not going to happen. But obviously, again, like I said, on the straights, it's a good indicator of where the tyres are going to sit. Obviously, they will fluctuate going sort of, yeah, right turns, left turns, slow corners, fast corners. But you're initially going to sort of then work out what your base is, and you can sort of take in sort of variation anyway, as long as you don't go over. So I think it's 28. Sort of, I don't tend to go no higher than sort of 27.8, 27.9 maximum would be, but obviously sort of tailing off on the straights, coming down a couple of clicks as well. So we've still bit no grip at the front. So yeah, we've done the first flying lap. And obviously now we can see the base of the tyres. As you can see, they're obviously not there. They need to be adjusted. They need to be raised slightly. So obviously come back to the pits, and this is a beautiful bit of the setup, which I like. It will tell you what your tyres pretty much got to when you come into the pits. Obviously, if you fast teleport, and then yeah, it will tell you, so you can sort of adjust accordingly. So what I'm going to do, I'll adjust sort of a couple of clicks on each, not to sort of go over sort of 27.7, 27.8. So a couple of clicks on each, just to see where we're at. Obviously, because they're different. Fuel's fine again, everything else. So yeah, so again, then we'll go back out. Obviously, yeah, still looking at track temp. I know it's only been sort of what, 6 minutes odd, so track's not going to go up. Obviously it's 9 in the morning, so obviously track's going to get warmer. So we've obviously skipped out the out lap just to sort of speed things up. So we're now on our first flying lap, and again, as I said, by the time we get to the end of this lap, we should know where the tyres are at. So coming down, you can see they're not quite there at the minute. Obviously brakes are cold. Lovely Monza with the long straights. Again, coming in, going to push it a little bit more. I tend to find that when you're on your limit, it gives you where your tyres are sort of going to be if you're constantly on the limit, kind of thing, which in the race not so much. Qualifying, you really need to be on the limit all the time to try and get obviously your quickest lap. So I've definitely noticed if you take it a little bit more reserved, even by say half a second, the tyres don't seem to get up to a range where, say, yeah, if you were pushing. So obviously, yeah, we're pushing a little bit more. Keeping in mind as well, if you're not sort of used to the circuits or the car or the gearing, sort of listening for if you're in the wrong gear, certain corners, sort of making a mental note is what I'll be doing now, to just think, well, next time I come out, once I've adjusted the tyres again, if I need to adjust them, I'm going to sort of, yeah, go a higher or lower gear for that corner, and just see if, yeah, you gain time. Obviously, it's a good idea if you can set yourself a sort of benchmark target as well. That way, as I said, I mean, the beauty of ACC, you've got the sort of deltas as it happens, so you can see if you're up or down. It's a good bit of kit. I like it because you can also see, yeah, taking different gears for different corners, whether it gains you or loses your time. So, but yeah, coming around the final bend, seem to have a bit more grip that time. Obviously, tyres are getting there. They're very close to where I would run them, but they still need adjusted again. So obviously we're going to come in again, and again we're going to keep an eye on the track temp. We're now 47 minutes. We're now sort of almost 13 minutes in. The track's still the same, which is fine. So you're going to adjust them a couple of more clicks on each. Obviously the ones that are slightly higher, well, we've got 27.5, we're only going to go up maybe 2 clicks. Ones that are sort of 27.3, we're going to go up 3 or 4 clicks. Obviously we don't want to go over. Ideally we just want to go up in small increments each time. So again, yeah, looking at the track temp, stays the same, which is good for us. Obviously if it starts to raise, it's not a massive issue as long as it doesn't go up sort of more than, I'd say, 1 or 2 degrees. If it starts going up sort of like 5 or 6 degrees, then yeah, it's not worth you carrying on. You really need to sort of get into the lobby again at the start of practice, as I said, which would mimic pretty much the start of the race. Hopefully, if they're going to do the race at that time. If not, then you might have to adjust. I mean, qualifying, if it's a longer quali, I tend to go out and get my tyres up before I sort of do a quick lap. So, but yeah, again, starting the flying lap, as you can see, the tyres are warmer now. Obviously the rear right is maybe a bit too warm where I want it. I want it maybe, yeah, 0.1 down from that, sort of 27.8. So it's gone down now that we're on the straight. But this time we are pushing a little bit more. Getting the car to where we need it. Yeah, tyres at the minute, again, right rear, probably take it down a click or 2, but not sure, because we're still sort of halfway around the lap. This is probably the more technical part of the lap. Sort of 2 sections, I think, that are sort of more technical. Obviously you've got this straight between the 2 sections, so probably, yeah, sector 1, sector 3. Now coming down again, it's still 27.9, so I'm not sure if that's going to come down. I don't think it is. Right front is fine, 27.8. That's pretty much on the limit of where I'd want it. Left front as well, 27.8, and the left rear is 27.9, but that's because we went through again that chicane. And yeah, right rear now is 28. So yeah, we're gonna have to adjust again, unfortunately. Obviously I was hoping that would be it, and then you can then concentrate on obviously lapping and getting quicker and quicker, but no. So we're going to come in again. Like I said, it's all about, yeah, all about the preparation at the end of the day. So back in again, going to check obviously everything, have a quick glance at temperature as well, which now says 26. Obviously we've moved on a little bit now. We've been in the server 21 minutes there or thereabouts. So obviously it's gone up 2 clicks, which isn't going to massively affect it. So ideally I could have left it where they were, because 2 clicks down on the temperature, our tyres would have probably been spot on. You're probably 27.7, 27.8 on the rear right, that was getting to like 28. So obviously it's down, yeah, your judgment call on this one. But what I would do is, yeah, I would have probably kept them where they were, and then possibly re-entered the server again. Obviously there's somebody else in here now, but re-entered the server again to start a practice and just make sure that they're fine. But yeah, I have obviously adjusted them to bring them down. Again, this is the start of another flying lap, just to fine tune where they need to be. See, this lap I want to go quick. Done a few laps now. Obviously I know Monza, so it's sort of easier for me. I know the braking zones. Obviously I know the Bentley really well, because yeah, constantly racing in the Bentley. So yeah, we're going to obviously go a bit quicker now. We're going to do what we would hopefully do in qualifying. But yeah, one thing as well, this is the setup for quali, pretty much. Obviously it's the same way for which we will go into quickly at the end of this, the same way as the race, but obviously you're adding fuel. So then you tend to find that adding fuel, making the car heavier, you've got to adjust the tyre pressures. Not massively, but you've still got to adjust the tyre pressures accordingly as well. So it's not just about quali, not just about getting a car ready for quali. Obviously there is a race at the end of qualifying, so you've got to prep the car for both, which 9 times out of 10 again, I have the Coach Dave tunes, and Coach Dave tunes will give you a quali tune and it will give you a race tune. Not a massive difference between the quali and race tune, but slight changes, subtle changes. But again, you have to get your tyres prepared. I find now that, yeah, tyres play a big part, and a lot of guys don't tend to bother with sorting it out, and they sort of come unstuck, possibly the sort of like second part of the race, or they forget to change the tyre settings for their pit strategy and stuff like that. But as you can see now, quickly, the tyres at 27.8, 27.8, 27.8, 27.8, so absolutely bang on with where exactly I'd want to be. So yeah, that's your quali done. So now I'm going to turn around and, as I said, the race setup. The race setup, again, you're going to go out and you're going to mimic the race. Ideally, if there's if it's an hour race and there's one mandatory pit stop, you're going to go probably half an hour fuel. Obviously, yeah, don't forget to save your setup. That's a biggie, because you don't really want to go into the race and then realise that, or quali, and then realise you haven't saved it and your tyres are stone cold for quali. So yeah, going to go in now, and obviously I use an app on the PLR Discord, and it's brilliant, and it'll tell you what fuel you need. So you'll go on the app and you'll put in whatever the race is, an hour, which is 60 minutes. You'll go 60 minutes. You'll put in the lap time that you'll roughly do, which you'll find out when you run to get your tyres up with your heavy fuel on. And then you put in your fuel per lap, which is obviously down there 1.5. And that will then calculate roughly, and I mean roughly, what fuel you'll need for the race. Now, I take that with a pinch of salt still. I will not go religiously with what it says. I always tend to add maybe, or even sometimes 10 litres extra, because the thing you don't want to do is run out of fuel in a race or have to pit twice, because that's a possible race win out the window. So yeah, let's say for argument's sake we're going to go with an hour race and we need 100 litres of fuel. So we're going to go with 50 litres, half and half. Then quickly set up your pit strategy, again 50 litres. Obviously the beauty with PC, you can click this button here. Obviously they haven't got that on Xbox. You have to manually do your tyre pressures, and this is key as well, to have your tyre pressures set in your pit window, because throughout the race, if the weather changes, track gets colder, track gets warmer, you can on the fly change your tyre temperatures for the tyres that are going to get put on your car in the pit window. And that is key to me. That is the biggest part of having the best chance of winning a race, is having that set and then just changing it on the fly. If by the time you come into the pits the track is 2 degrees, 5 degrees, 10 degrees higher or lower, you can adjust them accordingly, and you'll know whether just to click them up a few points up or a few points down. And that again is imperative you do that. It's not worth going in and just bolting on the tyres that you started the race with, or the pressures, because the track could be 10 degrees lower and your tyre temperatures aren't going to be there. So yeah, you're going to be screwed at the end of the day, and you're going to obviously not be going the quickest you can because you won't have the grip. So yeah, so anyway, back out on the track again. Obviously the outlap we're doing now, are we? Yeah, I think this is the outlap. So again, same as quali, but you should be slightly different. Monza, not so much. You might not be, because of it's a quick circuit, but it's a lot of straights. There's not a lot of corners. But we'll see. Like I said, we've got 32 laps of fuel. I think that is. That's what it's saying anyway. I think that is, or 22. I can't make it out from here, but yeah, it's just under 50 litres now, because obviously we've come out the pits. So the car's heavier. So obviously, yeah, we need to then get up the tyres. So again, obviously this is for reference. You can see there's 26 minutes left. It was an hour free practice. The track temperature is up. So what I'd do is I would jump out the lobby, and hopefully there's no one in it, and I would come back in and get the practice at the start and get the track at what it's going to be, say if that time is the start time of the race. Again, if it's not, it's not a biggie, because you're just going to have to sort of play it by ear, and yeah, try and just adjust it accordingly. But you're not going to be too far out. That's the thing. But as I said, ideally, from my experience and the series that I'm in, I'm lucky that they will have sort of a few practice sessions, and it will be the same time as the race. All of them will be the same time. So then, yeah, it is imperative you get in there at the start of them practice sessions to get the track, obviously, start temp. I wouldn't worry too much about green track, fast track, or optimum track. It's just going to make you quicker. The track temperature, depending on the amount of cars that are on the track or in the race or to start quali, the track could get slightly warmer, but I'd only say maybe by a degree or two, possibly. It's not a gimme, but it's a possibility. So again, bear that in mind. But I mean, ultimately, this is just to show you what I do, because preparation is everything. Preparation, it's so much difficult to just roll into a race and you've done no practice. Roll into the server, maybe have sort of 5 minutes of practice, which might be, the track temperature might be nowhere near what it's supposed to be for qualifying, and then qualifying clicks over. It's a 10-minute quali, it's a long track, say like Spa, and yeah, you've got no chance of going out and yeah, getting your tyres up to temperature. But in that instance, if that was me, I would then solely concentrate on a race tune. I'd bolt the race tune on, put your fuel in, and for quali I'd go out on a race tune. You might not get obviously pole position, but at least in the race you're going to be prepared. But obviously, yeah, the track temperatures and conditions. So yeah, so coming around, we're actually quite lucky with this. We've done obviously one flying lap, and the tyres are absolutely spot on from where they were before, even with a heavy fuel load. So, but obviously it's not a massively heavy fuel load. But yeah, that's it, guys. Hopefully you've sort of got an insight of obviously how I do things. Again, just to reiterate on a few points, if who you're racing with series or whatnot has obviously a practice lobby and the times are the same as they are for the race and quali, I mean, it makes so much of a difference, because then you know what the track temperature is going to be. Again, you could try and set your own sort of lobby up, or single player lobby, but I tend to find you never get the track temperature correct to obviously what settings on multiplayer they've got them. So it's best just to go in, yeah, a multiplayer. Obviously, if the series and the guys you're running with don't have a lobby or they don't put up a practice server, then try and find a server online that could possibly have the sort of, obviously, the right weather, the right conditions. If not, again, if you're sort of short of time, sort of jump in the race server and maybe sort of, yeah, set the car up for the race. Don't really worry too much about qualifying, because if somebody's not set up for the race and you are, then obviously, I mean, you're going to be at your sort of optimum, your sort of quickest time, where they're going to struggle possibly, and vice versa. They could have set up for just quali to try and get pole, and then in the race, yeah, they're going to get swamped sort of by you because your tyres are in the perfect condition. And again, as I said, the preparation for the pit is key as well. That's another point, big point for me. Set up for the pit stop, definitely. Set your tyres up, and obviously you can change them on the fly anyway through your MFD. So then you've got everything, all the boxes ticked. Well, like I said, guys, thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to you on the next video.